With the second and basically final season of Jodie Whittaker's first female Doctor, otherwise known as Dr. Karen, the long-running Doctor Who television series flipped a giant, ugly bird at every long-time Doctor Who fan still in existence. It did this with its second season finale, The Timeless Children, which retconned well over 60 years of Doctor Who history and lore, and caused those few fans which had actually stuck around through the dark times of the Chibnall era up to that point to nope out for good. Which is why I call it, basically, the final season of Jodie Whittaker's insufferable version of Doctor Who. So hey there folks, I am the Goblin King and I'm back for the beginning of the week of pop culture news with a, Screen Rant article. I almost wrote poop culture there. Talk about your Freudian slips. Of course, when it's coming from a shit rag like Screen Rant, that description of poop culture isn't far off, is it? As you can see here, we definitely have an apt description of poop culture for sure. Doctor Who officially confirms the Fugitive Doctor was the first Doctor. Jo Martin's Fugitive Doctor was the incarnation of the timeless child who finally became the Doctor, making her the real first Doctor. And we have a giant piece of poop culture breaching up the starboard bow, Captain. Flush it, man. Flush it now. And what the hell is up with all these articles being so damn short? For real, this thing literally took me less than 2 minutes to read. I know, I timed it. I mean, it's short and gets right to the point, I suppose. Also, the story itself is rather sparse. You can't really go much deeper into the story without giving significant plot points away from what you're trying to cover, which, if anyone actually cared, would probably be nice of them. Point being that I can actually put this stupid thing up on the screen and we can go through the thing together. Now, the article itself is a few days old and, as usual, I saw the story floating around on the TwitTwat app, but wasn't really looking forward to covering it because, well, the whole thing just depresses the crap out of me. That being said, I'll be completely honest in stating that I didn't get into Doctor Who until well into Matt Smith's run of the Doctor. Mostly because, when the continuation happened back in '05, my girlfriend at the time was really into it. After we had a particularly messy breakup about a year later, I didn't want to go near anything that I associated with her for years. When my current, long-time, on-again, off-again girlfriend got into it back in 2012 or so, I decided to pick it up and start watching it because I wanted to see what she loved about it, and I got hooked. So I've only been a fan for the last 10 years. Less, actually, since I noped the fuck out with The Timeless Children, like so very many people. Though I did hold on through most of the dark times of Chibnall's era. I still had some form of hope then, I guess. Anyway, let's get into this stupidity. Oh, and watch out, there are spoilers for the upcoming Doctor Who comic, if you actually gave a fuck. Doctor Who has confirmed Jo Martin's Fugitive Doctor was the real first Doctor. For years, viewers believed William Hartnell's first Doctor to be the very first incarnation of the wandering Time Lord known as the Doctor. Evidence to the contrary, such as glimpses of apparent past Doctors in a psychic battle in 1976's The Brain of Morbius, was generally disregarded. Chris Chibnall's tenure as Doctor Who showrunner has changed that, however. Now, I don't know much, if anything, about the past episodes and seasons of Doctor Who, so I can't speak to the point brought up here. I know that there have been many little things like that in the past which went against established lore at the time, but were usually either retconned a bit later or just ignored, as this article states. Any knowledge that I have of that kind of stuff comes from listening to or talking to people that are much more immersed in the lore and have watched it much longer than I have. Chibnall has revealed the Doctor is not a Time Lord at all. Rather, she is the timeless child. A being who potentially predates the universe itself, who was discovered by a Gallifreyan explorer and who became the base genetic code for every Gallifreyan who lived within the Citadel. There is no limit to the Doctor's ability to regenerate. Indeed, she has lived for over 1 billion years so far. The Chibnall era hasn't simply rewritten the show's lore though, it has also introduced a forgotten Doctor, played by Jo Martin. Even more surprisingly though, it seems this so-called Fugitive Doctor is in fact the first Doctor to be recognizable. Here, of course, is where we come to the crew of the backlash against Chibnall's era. Right here. I mean, this shit comes right out and says it too. Chinballs went so far as to not only rewrite significant portions of the Doctor Who lore, but then doubles down and introduces the Fugitive Doctor. Now, I'm with Neon when it comes to this lady that plays this supposed version of the Doctor here. Jo Martin was a much better Doctor than Jodie Whittaker's Dr. Karen. She had much more of a presence on the screen when I was watching that disastrous episode, and completely overshadowed Jodie's lame-ass take on the Doctor. It was like comparing a sapling to a redwood. Jo Martin would have been a much better pick for the 13th Doctor, in my opinion. Now, keep in mind that I wasn't at all down on the idea of a female Doctor. I honestly didn't care at the time. It had been established in a couple of past seasons during Capaldi's era that Time Lords could regenerate into the opposite sex. Fine. For me, as long as it wasn't going against any established lore, it didn't matter to me. I did wonder how they were going to get around that rule they'd made for how many incarnations of the Doctor there were. I do believe that, by that rule, Capaldi's Doctor was supposed to be the final incarnation, and I wasn't sure how they were going to get around that, and have him regenerate into another form. Well, as I found out later, they got around it all right, in the most uncreative and antagonistic way that they possibly could. Now, these cultural vandals, these revisionist fiction writers, are doubling down on this stupid shit by trying to make the Fugitive Doctor be the first Doctor in Doctor Who canon. Except, they're doing it through a comic book. Let's press on. The story of the Fugitive Doctor is being told in a miniseries written by Jody Hauser, with art by Roberta Ingranata and Warina Sahidawa. And, significantly, the arc is called Doctor Who Origins. According to teasers, this is the true story of the Fugitive Doctor. Why she wound up on the run from the Gallifreyan Black Ops group called The Division, why she hid on Earth, and how she became the Doctor viewers know and love. The significance of this story has already been confirmed by the Doctor Who Free Comic Book Day special by the same creative team, which serves as a prelude to the miniseries. It reveals the first time the Doctor visited Earth, hinting at why the planet would come to have such significance to the time traveler, and it even sees the TARDIS turn into a police box for the first time. Clearly, this is indeed the incarnation of the timeless child who became the Doctor. Now, hopefully Russell T Davies and company will just ignore the stupid bullshit and just go on to retcon the entirety of the Timeless Children itself. Personally, I think it's pretty funny that this comes out not long after I saw some articles floating around talking about how Bad Wolf and Sony were going to do just that. Those were only rumors, of course, but if these companies want to win back the original fanbase of Doctor Who, they'll need to do just that. As it is, I have zero interest in this series anymore. I haven't watched a single solitary episode since The Timeless Children. The return of Russell T Davies got me mildly curious about what was going on. The selling of the franchise to Bad Wolf Productions got me a little more hopeful, but as it stands right now, I have zero actual optimism. Some small shred of hope, maybe, but not optimism. The article ends with this. It's something of a surprise to see such an important story told in a tie-in comic, especially when Chibnall's time as showrunner is yet to come to an end. This probably reflects the disruption caused by the coronavirus pandemic, which led Chibnall to cut Doctor Who Season 13 down to just 6 episodes, and presumably meant he told less of Jo Martin's story than he intended. Still, Martin is confirmed to appear in the Centenary special, so her live-action story isn't quite over yet. It will be thrilling to learn more about this forgotten chapter of Doctor Who history. No, it's not really a surprise, though, to anyone that doesn't worship at the altar of woke idiocy, that is. Chinball's run has been nothing but divisive. Most of the original fanbase hates his ass and will probably throw a party, or better yet, a parade the moment his tenure is over. His run as showrunner has seen diminishing returns with damn near every episode that was released under his watch. In part because of him and his so-called writing staff. Not a small part either. The BBC has had people cancelling their television service with them left and right in the UK. They're hemorrhaging money, which is what prompted them to sell the once profitable Doctor Who property to Davies' production company in the first place. Rather than being some sort of triumph, this story coming out in a comic book tie-in is as much just adding insult to injury in Chinball's run. One more twist of the knife, as it were. As for Jo Martin, it sucks that she's become one more face associated with this absolute garbage that Doctor Who has become in the last few years. She would have made a fantastic Doctor. As a parting thought, I will say that Richard Ayoade would have made a fantastic Doctor as well. So, that's all I have for you all in this one, Goblins. As always, these are my own thoughts and opinions and nothing more. If you'd like, you can give me your thoughts and opinions in that handy section down below. While you're down there, say hi to Chris Chibnall. If you like my stupid opinions and you want to hear more of them, you can join my big green horde by crushing those like and subscribe buttons. Like a goblin. If you've watched this long, I appreciate you. I'll see you all tomorrow with more poop culture. See you then. Lates.